Everybody, thanks for joining me again. My name is Matt Gerber, Executive Director of the Diamond Allegiance. Got another Matt, one of my good friends, Matt Jervis, Director of CBA San Diego and CBA Marucci Underclass. Matt, I appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So first, let's jump right into it. The purpose of this interview is to get to know you and your program a little bit more. Let's start with how you fell in love with the game of baseball and how you kind of got to where you are today.
Sure. Fell in love with the game. It's really all I've ever known. Dad put a glove and a ball in my hand and just ate it up. I really can't remember the time where I started playing or why. But I played other sports growing up when I was really young, but always gravitated towards baseball. I love the competitiveness of it. I love the one-on-one feature of a team game. And I love the game. It's given me great experiences. Took me to places and developed relationships I never thought I would ever have. And it's given me more than I could ever give it. I just absolutely love the game, love competing, love coaching. I loved playing it. It's really all I've ever known.
Well, one word that you repeated there a couple of times was competitiveness, right? And competing. And I think that there's this narrative out there right now in the club baseball world that, competition isn't as important and kids nowadays are more concerned with, showcase numbers or whatever it might be. Do you see that, first of all? And then second of all, obviously competing is important to you. How do you instill that in your guys and make sure that they're focused on competing and winning games?
I think you could say that the competitiveness has changed a little bit. However, it's not gone. It's not even close to gone. You still see high-end players that want to compete and want to get out there and show what they have on on national level, a regional level. No, I think it's still there. It's just a little different. Obviously, with all the outlets that we have for individualized success and attention, I think has changed some of that. From my end, how I try to instill that competitiveness in our players, and they could be a 13-year-old player or a 17-year-old Power 5 commit. It doesn't really matter. I think one thing that I really pride myself in is no matter what field I'm on, no matter who's playing, what it means, you have to compete with them. And I've always been really big on that. I want to bring the fire, the passion, the energy, the desire to teach, win, learn, for all of us, my coaches, my players, the people that I coach with. I think it's super, super important to be an example of competitiveness and not go through the motions and get monotonous with things. Because quite frankly, if you're a competitor, you want to win every game. And if you're not teaching that to young players, I think you're doing them a complete disservice. And it goes beyond the white lines, right? You have to compete in everything you do, school, life. I think being a competitor is everything, to be honest with you.
Yeah, 100%. And I've seen that in action. Obviously, been able to follow you guys around a little bit over the years, and back when I coached against you guys, and now that I'm running the Diamond Allegiance, I think when you show up and not just you, I think CBA as a whole, when you show up and you watch your guys' staff, I think that's something that's been instilled through everybody in the program. That competitive nature and that fire, and the coaching staff really leading that, showing up every day and treating it like a job as it is. So definitely see that in real life with you guys and commend you for that. CBA is obviously one of the top programs in the country, stemming from one of the top baseball states in the world, in California. But tell me a little bit more about CBA San Diego, which is, kind of your baby. How did you get involved? How did it start? And, if I were a parent and I was looking at, and I lived in your area, what are some reasons that I would come and play for CBA San Diego?
Sure. I got involved with CBA and CBA San Diego in general. I think we're going on year 5 here, right after COVID. That time I was coming off working at 2 different universities, coaching college baseball, one Division I level, and then at my alma mater, Point Loma Nazarene. And while I was at Point Loma, I was running another high school organization down here in San Diego, and then developed a relationship with John Pano, Josh Glassy, and some other guys that were involved with San Diego. And it's really just materialized into what it is now, where I kind of have the lead of what San Diego does. I oversee 9 to 18. We have a youth director, Ant Soto, who does 9 to 12s, and he does a great job developing and getting those kids to work through the program. So that's kind of a little background of how it got going. If I had to give a somewhat sales pitch on what we do, I think the biggest thing that we do and pride ourselves in is develop. Whether you're already a high-end player or you're a player that needs more development at that age group, I think we do a very good job of that. But also our consistency. I really like our model and how we take pride in our practices and our training to get kids better. And that shows when we start to play and kids grow and learn and they become a team. I would say we don't have huge numbers to where we don't have a personal relationship and feel for what every player can do within our organization. I think one big thing I really, really like is we have all of our coaches coaching each age group. We don't set a team or a coach to a team per se. So one weekend you might be getting me. The next weekend you might get, a Braden Ross, a Rob Miller, Chris Lamb, guys like that, that are different styles. I think it's important for kids to learn how to play for different style coaches. You take me, who's more passionate and fiery and gets after it a little bit more, compared to a guy who might be a little more hands off in a good way, right? And just observes and teaches and picks his times to teach and fire them up and get them going. I think that's really important because as kids develop through the game, you're going to have to learn how to play for different styles of coaches. So I think that's a plus to what we do. I really like the facility models that we have, our fields and our infrastructure on how we go about getting players the development that they need. And it's really just consistent, clear communication is precise to what each family needs. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. Like we really are really structured in how we do it and why.
Love it. So development and competitiveness are obviously at the core values, I would say, based on those answers. And I can attest to seeing both of those play out in real life on the field. You quickly brushed over, but obviously to run a successful organization, it's more than a one-man show. So are there a couple important people, whether they're coaches, staff that work with you? Tell me a little bit about them, what their roles are, and what they bring to the table for you.
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, the top organization is massive for us. We couldn't do what we do without John Pano and his commitment to helping our region and every other region. One of the hardest working dudes in this industry who wants absolutely zero credit for what he does, but he deserves it because he's top notch. He's unbelievable. Within San Diego, I touched on, we have our youth director, Ant Soto, who does a really good job, and his coaching staff, 9 to 12. And then with me, 13 through 18, I've had a couple guys with me for a long time. We start with Rob Miller, who's been with us since I came over to CBA. He was with me with that other organization, has done a really good job. We have Chris Lamb, who is a high school coach down here, who's been with us for about 2 years. We have Braden Ross, who has turned into somewhat of our right-hand man and a little jack of all trades and how we do things. He's an up-and-coming, really good coach. I think he's going to do really good things in this industry, or high school setting, college setting, whatever he wants to get into. We have Brandon Matheson, who's a pitching coach here for one of the top high schools in the area, who does a great job with all of our guys. Mike Garcia, who's really, really good at the practice setting and developing players and teaching and bringing the energy that we need there. Heath Miller's another young kid, right out of college that does a really good job of connecting to the younger player and teaching them the game the right way. I think I touched on every way there.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's important to have guys that, sometimes go unsung, and that's why I want to obviously give an opportunity to talk about them, because we know that these programs that are run in such a efficient manner that have the best intentions for the kids, you have to have great people, right? And
absolutely
giving an opportunity to shout those people out, super important. So we're going to transition a little bit to some, more broad-based questions that are always fun to get answers to. You've been around the game, fresh out of college, when you got done playing, coached at the college level. I've been in the youth space, the club space for numerous years now. If you could go back to kind of the younger Matt Jervis, the one that's fresh out of college, based on some things you learned over the years, what's one piece of advice that you would give your younger self?
Ooh, it's a good question. I think I would definitely go back and tell myself to open my eyes a little bit more to what this industry can be. Understanding the business side of things more, and how it's not just coaching baseball. With what we do, you have to be really good at relationships with adults and their children, and understand that you're providing a service to each family and their child. And I think that's something I've understood a lot more over the years, especially being with CBA. The relationships will take care of itself. You have to stay true to your structure and your systems. But I think just approaching everything with more open eyes and open ears kind of thing to help yourself grow. I think this is the game in general, but especially in the travel baseball setting. I think there's avenues to grow as an individual, as a coach, around every corner if you want to take it that way. And there's a lot of really good people in this industry, especially in our area, that know what they're doing. They've done it for a really long time. Guys that we respect, that I for sure respect. Guys that I, might not know on a personal level, but see how they go about their business. I think just approaching things with a bigger net to understand and grow. I think that's what I would tell myself at 22, 23 years old, first starting this.
I think that's a great answer. And I want to add to that. I think that as you mature, as you get older, one thing you said is, understanding that you're dealing with people's kids. I know for me, when I was fresh out and I first started coaching, I took a very, hard stance on a lot of different things. And I would look back and honestly say that I probably coached kids a little bit too hard.
Sure.
And I think honestly becoming a parent changed that, and understanding that, that's someone's kid that you're dealing with, right? And there's real emotions, and understanding not only the baseball side, but the mental and emotional side to everything, not just to the game, but, really becoming a part of their life is super, super important. And I think you nailed that. And then, just like you said, being open. And I think that's, for me, what the Diamond Allegiance is a little bit about too, right? Is we bring together good people that care about this game, and hopefully as we continue here, really start to change the way that things are done, and to create a better atmosphere for these kids that we're also passionate about. So love those answers, Matt. So a couple more here. You guys, obviously CBA been around for a while, but the CBA San Diego under your direction, about, like you said, 4 or 5 years in. So you've got 4 or 5 years in the rear view. If you were looking out the front of the car 5 years down the road, where do you see yourselves? Are there any projects, any specific things that you would like to accomplish within that San Diego marketplace for your program?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. If you're not growing, you're staying stagnant, and people are going to catch you, in my opinion. So I think one of my big passions is helping as many young kids develop the love for the game and the skills for the game to get better and further their career as long as they can. So I think, obviously branching out a little bit more and reaching a wider net, I think would be great. But that has to stay. With doing that, we have to stay to our cultural, structure and boundaries and our whys. And I'm not going to. I don't want to expand too much to water down what we do, because I think what we do is strong. But obviously, helping more kids develop and play high level high school baseball, get to college, that's obviously always a goal. But yeah, I mean, obviously, develop, get kids to college, do all those things. But I think expanding a little bit within San Diego and widening the horizons of what we do could be great for us.
Absolutely. And, again, I harken back here as the director of the Diamond Allegiance. You know, if you look at our charge and what our values are, it's identifying people like you that are in this thing for the right reasons, trying to elevate your program so that people in San Diego understand when they're trying to make a decision that if you've got that Diamond Legion stamp on you, it means that you're getting with somebody who values the right things, values the relationships, values the development of the player, values communication and running things the right way. And so, you know, our hope is that, you know, over the next 5 years, we look back from now and you have expanded that reach and that you are reaching more kids and providing more value for more families within this ecosystem. So, two more for you, Matt. This one's probably my favorite. And, you know, I've heard a wide array of responses. I do always, before I ask this question, give you the full range of answer like you want, and don't hold back. So, if there was such a thing as the commissioner of club baseball, right? And you were that person, what's the first and most important thing that you would change in the club baseball world?
Oh, that's a big one there.
That is.
I'm going to say this one because it's kind of fresh on my mind. I think some governing event groups do a really good job of taking care of players' health. I think if you're in this for development and getting the players to maximize what they can do in the long run, I think health and caring for them in the present and the future is huge. You can't say you're all about the players and development without taking care of what they need to stay healthy and on the field. So I think there are, like in our area, I would say there are some avenues that, you know, starting with youth all the way through high school stuff for certain events. I think an adoption of pitch count limits and structure of, you know, how a USA baseball and their pitch smart works or something like that has to be put in place to make sure that kids aren't being abused to go win a t-shirt, you know? I think that's huge. I think it's really important because, quite frankly, you ask a 14-year-old kid late in the weekend, "Hey, man, can you give me some outs?" They're never going to say no. They're never going to do it because they don't want to let you down or feel like they're letting you down. They don't want to let their team down. You know, they might be getting pressures elsewhere to take the ball where it doesn't mean anything. An event in October with the kid throwing 200 pitches in 3 days, to me, doesn't make any sense. Like, to me, that you're abusing a kid's talent and their abilities at the current stage where you're not looking forward to what they can be. Yep. I think that needs to be really harped down and focused on. And it takes effort and it takes, you know, having the right people there to govern it and pay attention to it. Because if that's not happening, it's going to get abused in my opinion. So I think that's a big one for me. But other than that, I mean, I think there's obviously changes that can be made within travel baseball. But for me, as somebody who cares about the kids in the long run, that has to be something that's put a massive focus on every time the kid's on the field. I don't care if it's a USA, a perfect game, a prospect wire, everything, right? It has to be. It's not coach's discretion. You see that in rules sometimes and it says use your best judgment. Well, what is that? I just don't understand what that is. Because everybody's judgment is different.
Yeah. And I would take that one more step further. We can talk about pitch counts, but one thing that I've seen this summer, and just speaking plainly, is, you know, field conditions too, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And making sure that, you know, kids have the opportunities, you know, if we are, you know, paying the money you guys are to play in events, that they're playing on fields that are maintained well and that are not going to potentially cause injury. Player health, I agree with you, should be number one. And one thing that you said, Matt, is, you know, you were talking about, like, you know, some random event in October, and one of the groups I asked this question to, their answer was essentially it boiled down to, like, who cares? Not that we don't care. But at the end of the day, you know, if I quiz anybody out there, like who won the 2018, you know, Jupiter or West Coast, you know, USA All-Star, USA 16U, like nobody's going to be able to tell you, right? Like, yes, it's fun to win those events and you're going to go and compete. But the groups that have done this for such a long time and have the staying power are the ones that are doing exactly what you just described, right? They care about player health. They care about their physical health, their mental health, and they're invested in those things. So I think that's a phenomenal answer. So last one I'll ask you here, you know, a little bit of a self pitch here, but you know, why did you join the Diamond Allegiance, Matt? And what benefits do you see it bringing to your organization, to you specifically? And then where do you see the Diamond Allegiance 5 years from now?
Here, I think part of it goes back to the answer I gave a couple minutes ago about being open-eyed and open-eared to growing. I think, you know, some of the people that are involved within this Diamond Allegiance are people that have had a lot of dirt in their spikes in this industry, that have done great things for players and their organizations. I think being in the room with people that are all on the right track and, you know, have the same mission, I think is extremely important for where this industry can and is going to go. So I think that was a big draw for me. You know, obviously our whole organization is all in on this. And, you know, once you sit and talk and meet with some of the people involved, the light bulb goes off and it's a no-brainer for where this thing's going to go. And I mean, where the Diamond Allegiance can go, it's onward and upward, right? I wouldn't put a limitation on what this group can do and the people leading it. You know, when you have the right people in place doing the right things for the right motives, I think the sky's the limit, and I wouldn't put a cap on anything like that. So I'm excited to see where this can go and grow to, and just be a part of it. It's an honor, right? It's you know, like I said, the right people, good people that are in it together for the right motives. I think it's massive for where this industry can go.
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. So appreciate your time. Appreciate obviously CBA San Diego being a part of the Diamond Allegiance, and I appreciate our friendship and the things that I've learned about you over the last couple of years. So thanks for your time today, Matt, and for all of you listening out there. CBA San Diego, Southern California is the place to be. So appreciate your time today, brother.
Well, thanks, Gerbs. I appreciate it.